Hello and welcome to my presentation on NBall. In this presentation I'll be using a match play performance analysis data to inform invention design to support effective learning environments in sport and physical activity, and then I'll be moving on to using a theoretical framework to improve the effective design of coaching interventions to improve performance. So, NBall. What is NBall? So NBall is a multi-directional invasion sport, which is pretty similar to handball, and they'll be working at an intensity of around 76%. I will be then looking at the problems of the game and come up with some aims that will help come back on that. I'll be looking at some GPS data to help identify the problem and how GPS can help design the practice so it's more representative of the competition and how to help the intervention. And I will talk a little bit about a workload. I'll be then going into my methods, so I'll be discussing my method, which is notation analysis, and it'll be used to generate more information about intervention. And finally, I'll be talking about the actual intervention and the key issues in the game, and I began to list some KPIs that were potentially going to tell me more about the problem, and I'll be talking a little bit about the constraint-led approach. Can't say that. Okay, so my problem. So I've identified the inability to retain possession when attacking in the final third of the pitch. My initial reaction was this will lead to a reduction of opportunities they will have to score. So I think my first reaction was this was due to the team not utilising the width of the pitch and having a lot of errors in their throwing and catching. My initial thought was they could come back this as work more of a team to be more successful in the game, but I'm going to look further into reasons why they are doing this, what they are doing. So I'll be carrying out a notation analysis on the team's performance, focusing on the final third of the pitch. So I came up with some aims for it. So the aims were to develop KPIs to identify constraints on the performance, the most common area of loss of position of the ball, so what section of the pitch, use GPS data to help inform the intervention, carry out a notation analysis on the team's performance, use performance analysis data to inform the practice design and to improve specific areas of the game, and finally design an intervention that is supported by some theoretical framework. So then I will be going on to my KPIs. So what is a KPI? So key performance indicators are a section or combination of X variable that aims to dense sum of all aspects of a performance. Analysis and coaches use key performance indicators to assess the performance of an individual or a team element or an element of a team. Key elements that I will be looking through throughout the presentation. So methods. So I'll be using a notational analysis of 2 games of NBall. This is to generate information of the game. Quickly, what is notation analysis? Notation analysis is an objective way of recording performance so that critical events in that performance can be qualified in a consistent and reliable manner. This enables a qualitative and quantitative feedback that is accurate and objective. A few reasons why I've used it. It's quite simple and quick and accurate. And it's quite good. It's use immediate feedback, so you can just do it on the side of a pitch. Some things that I should look out for when doing it is you do need to process the data, so it's not immediate. I don't know the order of the events, so I can't give that much detail of what happened when. And certain coaches interpret different things differently, so I need to be careful that whoever's reading my notation analysis knows all the keys, so they know what they're reading basically. So next I'll be going on to my flowchart. So this kind of was the basis of my notation analysis. So you can see I've got the team and player, the positions, the actions and the outcomes. So this kind of was what is everything that I'm looking at, and I've kind of drawn data up from there. So next I'll be going on to the results. So this is a brief overview on the results. So as you can see, there were 14 attempts on goal, 6 successful shots and 9 unsuccessful shots. So as you can see, the unsuccessful shots outweigh the successful shots, so that's why I thought it would be appropriate to explore further in how and why this is kind of going on. But this data doesn't really tell me enough information and doesn't kind of give me enough information to inform a representative practice design. So then I kind of looked further into the results. So firstly is the outcome results. So this is kind of the type of outcome in each section. So as you can see here in the final third of the pitch, they are more successful scoring when passing through the middle of the pitch. However, in section 1 and 3 they are less successful. So they're more, as you can see, they're more successful in the middle. So that could give me a bit more of an idea of what's going wrong and what I can do in the future. Next one, so types of passes. So then I looked at types of passes that the team did. So overall, overarm passes were more successful in zone 3 and underarm passes were the least successful. I also noticed that chest passes were not often used in the game. However, when chest passes were used, they were pretty much almost all successful, which is kind of does tell me a bit more about how they were playing and stuff. Also the 1, 2 and 3, that's the left, the middle and the right. I forgot to mention that. And finally I then looked at the pressure action. So as you can see here, zone 3 had quite a lot of space and they were very successful when passing into space there. The brown kind of ish is successful and the blue is unsuccessful. So as you can see here, they were quite successful passing into space and when they had space. But the best you can see here in zone 1, they were most successful when they were kind of tightly marked. It kind of says that it was quite congested in the middle 2 zone and the 1 zone. So after looking at these results, I was able to kind of better design a more appropriate intervention that will kind of improve the aspects and the KPIs that I'm looking at. So then this is a quick summary of the results. So I kind of decided that the main constraint on successful outcomes was pressure on the left hand side, as there were 3 missed opportunities. There were 5 successful passes resulting in scoring in the middle of the pitch, 3 unsuccessful overarm passes in the left hand of the pitch, and 5 unsuccessful overhead shots on goal. So this is kind of something I found is the lowest effectiveness of finalisation was presented in long distance shots of the game of handball. So I kind of chose this because handball is very similar to m-ball. So this is kind of could inform me a bit further in what I could improve and what I could kind of influence them to do more. I went on to GPS data and payload. So as you can see here, this is all the GPS data collected from the game of m-ball, and you can see that it tells you the individual payload of everyone. So what is payload? So payload is an instantaneous rate of change of acceleration divided by a scaling factor. So basically it's just a measure of your athlete's work. So I'm going to use this data to implement this into my intervention, but I need to make sure that the players are kind of working with the same player load as in the game. So they're working at a game pace so they can improve their performance. So I could do this in many ways. So I could either manipulate the constraints and drills, so I'm able to directly make the player load the same as the game situation, or I could kind of put out a kind of drill and kind of watch the game and see if the player loads are matching up, and I can kind of switch up the drills so the player load is the same. So a little bit about how GPS can help me. So by measuring players' movement, GPS can be used to objectively quantify levels of exertion and physical stress on individuals' athletes, examine competition performance, assess different position workloads, establish training intensities, and monitor changes in player and psychological demands. So this is going to tell me more about how I can implement, make the training more game similar, and kind of help me in that sense. I also over here worked out that the average intensity of the game. So saying that the average age of the game player is 20 years old, so their max heart rate is going to be about 20 beats per minute, and then I took the average heart rate of the game, which is 152.6 beats per minute, kind of divided it, some maths, and it was 76.25% intensity. So that's kind of working within the moderate to intense kind of way. So we kind of in training want to be working towards that figure. So yeah. Next, I'm going to be moving on to the intervention. So I'm going to be using a constraints-led approach. So essentially, a constraints-led approach is all about situational learning through manipulation of constraints, ensuring lots of variables in practice when learning. So I'm going to use these constraints in a small-sided game. I'm going to let the game flow, let the problems arise and then I'm able to address the problems and be able to talk about them in kind of a game situation. So through the manipulation of certain constraints and different information is presented to the learners. So I see there's performer, task, and environment. I'm going to be kind of focusing on the task constraints, as these are probably the most important constraints for physical education because of their significance of learning. They include the goal of a specific task, rules of activities, and implements of equipment during learning experiences. So through manipulation of key task constraints, I'm going to be doing the rules, number of players, and pitch dimensions. A bit more on the constraints-led approach. So it was by Newell in 1986. The constraints model provides an excellent conceptualization to guide physical education practice because it adequately captures the rich range of diverse constraints acting on learners during skills learning and games participation. So a few positives. So it's develops play skills within the game setting, will closely represent a game situation, and it allows players to make their own decision, like as if they were in a game. So it also encourages practitioners to understand and explore how various individuals, groups, and environmental factors impact upon learning and shape the development of human behaviour. However, this approach does require quite a deep understanding of context and allows to appreciate and negotiate these interaction elements in these contexts. Glazier 2010 also argued that this alternative approach in sports performance offers lots of benefits to research and practices as it has the potential to be more effectively link behaviour to outcome due to its process orientated rather than its product orientated focus. I will go on to the intervention section finally. So the aim is to improve short passing in the final third of the pitch. So it'll be a half game pitch, so they're able to focus on the attacking part of the game. The ball must be thrown below head height. This will encourage the players to move into space and get free for the players to pass to instead of just throwing and kind of hoping the ball gets picked up by another player. The attacking team will always attack because we're kind of just looking at attacking. We're only allowed 5 seconds on the ball. This kind of keeps the game fast-paced, encourages the team to move into space and search for opportunities, meaning they're going to have to work harder and kind of get into a similar player load as the game. If the ball isn't thrown in time, you have to start again from the halfway line. I've got the scoring options, so zone 1 and 3, you got 3 points, and zone 2 is 1 point. This will kind of encourage them to kind of use the width of the pitch more. Or in the results earlier, they were kind of bunched up in the middle, so I kind of want them to use the width of the pitch more. So in conclusion, I demonstrate how a multidisciplinary team can help support a team in preparation of the game. I need to speak to the team and understand further what their needs are and what they need to improve on, because I've not asked them yet. And I need to look at long-term goals of the team and to develop a plan what will benefit them long-term, not just in one game.